Welcome to FtBFtL, Fear to Burn and Friends to Learn, a talk show where gamers discuss the tactical genre, including gaming philosophy, concepts, systems, bugs, content creation, and more. We're your hosts, FearJBaller and Rectorol. We hope you'll join us on our journeys to understand better the genre which we enjoy so much. In our first show, we want to define our genre, as well as introduce ourselves to those of you who may not be familiar. This is FearJBaller.
What's going on, dudes? My name's FearJ. My real name is Jonathan. I'm 32 years old. I make content around FPS games, and I just like to have a good time and frag out.
Hi, my name's Rectorol. I tend to help organize, train, and lead large-scale tactical gaming communities for about 2 decades, and I really enjoy the tactical genre, starting from Battlefield 1942, leading all the way into where we are now with Escape from Tarkov. And who knows where we'll be in the future.
Who knows?
Who knows, indeed. So what we want to do right now is discuss and define our genre. The tactical shooter genre, or just tactical genre in itself, is a series of games that are aimed to simulate realistic combat, or at least realistic challenges, through a slow-paced gameplay, as well as punishing gameplay that make not quick reflexes and simply being good at video games the default. You actually need to think and use tactics and cooperation.
Be honest, man. I didn't think I was gonna be this much of a masochist until I started playing Tarkov.
Right. Oh, I love Tarkov is the one that really brought me out of my shell and really showed me that we can go back to having tactical games that just really punch you in the dick. And there was a great meme made about it in the beginning of Tarkov about just getting, welcome to Tarkov. And it's a great example. You load in, you die, you rinse, you repeat. And I miss the contextual fights you used to get from a lot of games early on, because it would take you hours just to get into a match properly. And when we're going back to older school video games, just the stint of getting onto a server and getting everything set up took... it was an extra 30, 40 minutes at the beginning of each gaming session sometimes, just to start playing. And so the fights already had that context that Tarkov now adds, where you're building up to a moment.
Yeah. It's interesting because I'm so used to playing, I've always come from different games, more fast-paced games. So getting into this game, and I've even noticed it, like, coming back, even just playing COD so much, coming back into it right before the wipe, the mentality is just so different. You're building up for these particular moments, and I guess it works in the whole genre of this. Your positioning matters. You work so hard to get into one specific situation to execute it perfectly, where, in a game like COD, you just shoot, die, rinse, repeat 100 times till you get bored. And I think that creates a big barrier of entry, I guess, right? For a lot of new people coming in.
Well, because it's hard when you're playing with a squad, and this is something I generally suffer with when you try and organize new people in units. There's always a kickback to receiving criticism, because too much criticism, and nobody wants to play with you. Too little criticism, and now everybody that you're playing with is substandard. Over time. You might not notice it right away, but trickle and trickle if you don't correct and work with each other. And that is a trick and a half to try to...
I feel like my negative state is always like, I maybe get too serious and stuff like that. I want to dominate. It just comes like a competitive nature. I want to be the best, even though, like, if I'm not, I just try to be. And I always push players who I think that are better than they are to push themselves too, and that can push people away. Like you were just saying, if they're not being pushed, then they're kind of just stagnant, making a lot of mistakes, especially in a game like this where mistakes matter, right?
I just realized I was muted. There's a statement that I used to say, and that I still say from time to time, that I use as, I believe, the perfect way to approach video games in general, but I think it really helps out with tactical simulation games. which is that you should approach video games in the order of enjoyment, challenge, and realism. So, first and foremost, the game should help you relax. Then, ideally, that game also has challenge, which forces you to become better at thinking your way through a problem. Excuse me. And not just challenge through grind. I hate grind games. Call of Duty is actually a great example of that. There's a certain point where the skill is the time to grind, which is a very weird concept to get into, as opposed to I can grind what I want out faster, but there's no real skill being employed in most of my grind. It's more cheese grind. And
Okay,
then,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
yeah. And then with realism, I understand that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people, but I personally define it as having like a core concept grounded in real world understanding. So a great example of this would be if a game is physics based, as in based in real world physics, I'm okay with that. If that's the only realistic thing in the game, is that when I walk off a cliff, I fall down at an appropriate speed. And nothing else about the game is really real. It has at least one concept that I can ground and relate everything back to. And the devs took that part at least serious.
Yeah. I enjoy games where there's a lot of consequences. I think I don't know. It's so weird. I'm talking to my buddy in Discord while I'm playing Tarkov, and I'm like, man, you know what I really like about this game? And I know the audio is bad, but the audio is like good in ways that it's like I like when I'm walking on gravel. I could just listen to myself walk on grass in that game for way too long. You know, it's the subtleties of like opening my inventory, ADSing, just those small little sounds add so much to me that I don't know, it sucks me in every time. I'm like, oh, all right, I'll just play one more. Just want to hear myself walking on dirt. It's weird.
I know exactly what you mean. If you remember when VoIP came out, there was a lot of big discussions going on in the community, and one of them at the time was, are there anybody that plays characters that we're actually going to get to see now that we have VoIP and we can cooperate? And I brought up that I do something called Hiking Man, which is what I used to do on Woods, is I would put on podcasts and I would just walk around in the back section of Woods on all the hiking paths with a pilgrim pack and a pistol and a flashlight at night.
That's actually pretty cool.
It was just fun. I wasn't looting. I was just walking the paths, listening to podcasts. It was a fun time. And I was the hiking man.
I do like that. That's actually cool. I always saw those paths on Woods, and I always wondered, why are there no scabs? Just one or two taking a stroll, man.
Or, I know it would be difficult. Scavs, number one, but I still don't understand why Tarkov has not added wildlife. And even in small and minuscule ways. I know we have rabbits, I know we have birds. Actually, we don't have rabbits. Do we have rabbits? Yeah, we have rabbits.
No, we got birds.
I'm thinking Arma. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree, man. Like, I just birds are cool. I honestly think, man, should be some people patrolling the main streets. Is that really that hard to like program an AI just to walk from one point of the map to the other?
Well, they already have it, which is the weird part. They've already had the scab, because the scabs respond to bosses being shot. So when you shoot a boss on the map, all the scabs in the area are technically supposed to respond. When you shoot somebody that has over 6 karma as a scav, that all the scabs in the area, or majority of the ones in a near vicinity, will respond as if you are a scab boss.
Right.
And they could have, and just not even having people doing things where it's like, well, I know this scav, his mission is he spawned at military checkpoint, but just write a line in him that every 5 minutes he walks to dorms and then walks back to military checkpoint on customs.
Yeah, 100%.
And it would add just these weird random encounters. Red Dead Redemption 2, and I know it's not necessarily too deep in the tactical genre, but it touches it. It scrapes it.
That's still a great game.
Yeah, also a great game. Red Dead Redemption 2 has a 24-hour cycle for all their NPCs, which I understand is a high standard to meet. But all of their NPCs have goals and lives at any point during the day that they're supposed to be accomplishing. Whereas when we look at a game like Tarkov, the scavs they have no goal in life other than they're there to be shot. And it'd be cool if they had something to do. And because I know we're not going to get the UN troops anytime soon.
Yeah, I remember Veritas was talking about this same thing, man. And he made a good point. It's like, there's those bunk beds in Fortress or Stronghold on customs. They're never in there just sitting around the fire talking, having a conversation. They're always just like one, never in there anymore. There's like no scavs inside of fucking Fortress anymore. There's no scavs in Woods right now. Yesterday I played all day. I saw like 5 scavs for every raid. It was annoying. But yeah, it was give them something to do. I have them talking to each other in Russian. It's just some bit of conversation to add that kind of immersion. Like instead of like it gives you like a reason to like sneak up in there or like get like a jump scare. Like, oh, they're sleeping if it's like a certain time of the day, or they're sleeping at night would be tight, right? You go in there, you tackle, you eliminate them so they don't make noise and call other people to come to you. I just think that stuff would be so cool for this because I don't know. Sometimes when I play Tarkov, I don't want to go around PvP all the time. I just want to like enjoy the game, and that's something that it's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, you just want to be immersed in it, and I enjoy being like a sniper in Tarkov. I hate sniping in most video games, but I enjoy the concept of sniping in Tarkov, especially if we could ever get more than 40-minute raids.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, I agree.
you add this, and this is what really I think makes to liken it back what I was bringing up earlier with the genre. It adds context to a fight. One of the things that makes the genre so great is having context to a fight. Does it take 5 minutes to set up? Did it take 30 seconds? But it took hours for you to train and know when to be, where to be right at that moment. And you're actually putting a lot of thought into how you want to accomplish this objective, or going the complete opposite way with it, which everybody's taking this game so seriously that you decide to be the goofball in the moment. And so you do the let them never let them know your next move meme, effectively.
Jesus.
It's you throw a grenade and rather than push, you just stand still.
Yeah, I think, dude, the idea of like pulling out that raid timer is very cool. Like I would sit down and just think about how cool that would be. You don't have to really ration out your food, you know? You have to ration out your water, you have to ration out everything, and you would have to leave, go find it, come back. It would just be a neat experience.
It
Instead of
would.
just being like, okay, I don't need food anymore because my metabolism's 800, and I never die. It's annoying. It's not annoying, but it would just add a different feature to the game that would be cool just to sit around and snipe. I like playing with the DMRs in that game. I hate DMRs in other games. I love DMRs in this game. SR25, the M1A.
It took me a while in Tarkov to liken up to the bigger boy guns because I've always been somebody that is. I like to be loud and proud and a breacher. I like to be the first person in the door. That means getting shot a lot, but I really don't like. I like to be giving orders and I like to be giving direction to whoever I'm playing with.
Right.
However, if you're the person,
kind of guy.
yeah, but if you're sitting back through the sniper scope doing that, it's hard to motivate people to be like, "Let's get in just go through the door, guys. I got you covered. Trust me."
I'm fine and safe. I believe in you. I get you. Like, fuck this guy, dude.
Well, it was recently, and I just put out a video on this, but we were in Dorm's 3-story fight. The iconic thing happened. Somebody locked themselves in the marked room.
Okay.
Hallway. Yeah, and we had 3 people. We exhausted all our hand grenades trying to get them out. Well, we could sit there and we can wait them out. We definitely will win the fight, but it's more fun to push. I have a Tacitcal mask on. I have a Fort Redut armor on. Why would I not? I'm just going to push while my teammates shoot. I'll take the hits. I have the literal gear on to tank.
Speaking of that. The fact that you're so thick and juiced out, and imagine like having like Detroit. Is it Detroit armor? That fucking massive full body covers your arms and everything.
I don't know if it's called the Detroit armor. I know what you're talking.
I think it's like Troy.
Oh, Troy. Armor. I was like Detroit. I don't know about Detroit armor. Makes sense, but
yeah, like if they ever fix the hitboxes to make sense, that armor would be fantastic for like that kind of playstyle, and they would have people in the back with slicks, watching a little bit more movement, and I just think it would create kind of like a better environment for that type of playstyle. You know what I mean? Because like right now, they shoot your arm and it destroys your thorax anyways with the armor pendant, the way it works, right? So it's like doesn't really. You're still at the same disadvantage as the person wearing the slick. Yeah, the same advantage. It doesn't make any difference. It's actually more of a disadvantage because you're slower.
I know Nikita kind of hinted at this, and the problem is there's not a lot of medical systems in video games out there to compare to.
True.
So I can compare from my real world medical knowledge versus what we have in games. The closest I've seen in video games to actually having a good medical system when you get shot, there's 2. There's America's Army. Back in the early 2000s, they had a pretty good system. And then Arma 3 with mods has very good systems. Besides that, I can't think of a single game that has a good I got shot, I need to be incapacitated in some way. And Tarkov's getting there, but I'd rather like lose consciousness for a second if I get shot in a blacked out limb than it do damage to my torso. You know, and I think it would incentivize people stitching their arms on back more. Because right now, if you lose an arm in factory or labs, what's the play? You pop an ETG or Proptol and push.
Yeah, you push and then leave and reset.
Yep. Yeah, there's no incentive to actually do surgery.
That's true. Yeah, no, it would also keep people in raids longer too. Instead of people just dying and sitting in the lobby doing a scav, which I mean might help gameplay if people are doing scavs more, but whatever. Keeping people in the raid, especially if they're with their squad, would be fucking fire.
That is one of the people not staying in raid in Tarkov is what makes me laugh so much when people can't progress early on in wipe and they go, I can't find any of my Salewas. Did you leave raid in 7 minutes? Yeah. Okay, that might be why. You know, if you just spend 40 minutes in a raid, wipe week's a little bit different. Wipe month, I should say, is a little bit different. But most people aren't in raid past the first 20 minutes. I mean, most likely, most people aren't in raid past the first 10.
Yeah.
You know, past that, you're dealing with player scavs. And scav gangs are... Well, this might be a good segue. I don't know if this is a good segue into what you want to talk about, but I was going to say scav gangs are predominantly lowbrow.
They're so fun to fight, though.
Oh, they're so fun. It's mob mentality at its finest.
I love it.
It's shut your brain off Tarkov mode. And I think a lot of people don't realize the difference you can do between scav and PMC. When you're playing scav, you can take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much more fun to just immerse yourself and act like you're just like the mafia of Tarkov, right? You go around and pick, you know, this is my hometown, this is my mall, it's my mall. Until I run into Killa, interchanges my mall as a scav.
Right.
And why would I leave? Oh, well, I got good gear, I should leave. No, interchanges your mall. Stay there till 2 minutes left. Unless there's nothing going on, just hang out. It's so fun to see what happens late in these raids. And you run into PMCs that are so scared and Timmies and just these ultra rats.
Yeah, some of my most exciting exits out of a raid are like the last like couple minutes. You know, all the scavs are trying to leave together, and then you're trying to leave. You're juiced up. You got a bunch of gear on you. You're fucking like, I don't want to die. They're like, let's kill this fucking dude. It's exciting, and I wish that the game had more of that all the time. But you know. I don't expect it to. But the economy, I think, affects that a lot, too. People want to leave fast because of the way the economy is. Get stuff, sell stuff, buy better stuff. Rinse, repeat.
Well, there's that, and there's also, especially early progression, there's something to be said about running. I'm trying to remember how I used to describe it, but we would play we'd play the algorithm, I think is how I said it. Effectively, we would go, we know that we're going to get screwed in 5 or 6 raids tonight. Let's try to bum rush those out as fast as possible. So that way we're not wasting our time.
Yeah, I get it. So I was doing all day yesterday. I'm just getting it out of my system.
Mm-hmm.
Getting that W key out of my system for in the wipe app. And it's nice to take it slow and enjoy it, you know?
I had somebody comment once that they were recently about me missing a bunch of shots, and I was like, oh, I never miss, man. Those are just pre-fires.
Yeah, warning shots, dude. I'm not missing.
Never miss.
Psychologically abusing my opponent.
All right. Do you want to bring up your first topic?
So, I mean, I could, right?
You could. We could. We could talk about things other than Tarkov. There are games other than Tarkov in the tactical genre. We do love Tarkov, though.
From, you know, like, I guess we could talk like from like a market standpoint and a content creation standpoint. Are you a quality or quantity kind of creator? Are you just throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks, or do you kind of take more thought into what you create?
So there's a great quote that I used in my for my senior year in my high school yearbook, the quote I chose was quantity is a oh crap, I'm blanking on the quote now. Quantity is a quality in and of itself. So there is something to be said that if you can mass produce enough of something, that is a quality, right? And so
Agree to that.
I believe when you're coming to certain things, I think sprinting and creating a lot in a short amount of time can be very beneficial as a creator. It's how I approach like YouTube shorts and like clipping. I think pushing a lot out and doing effectively like a sprint is a fun way of creating content, but I think marathoning is a much more long-term sustainable plan by a long shot.
Yeah, I mean, it also helps you with understanding what works well for you. You get better at what you're doing faster. You kind of see what sticks, and then you can hone in on what sticks and create more of that. And since you've created so much of a bunch of different things, you can create that one concept better, more efficiently, and just kind of steamrolls into kind of a marathon kind of tactic. I think just I mean, and also you can kind of break it down. It's like, what kind of content are you creating? Is it long form content? Is it extremely artistic, creative stuff to where there's a lot of time going into one particular thing, or are you just kind of steamrolling out a lot of like short form, in your face, give me a second to laugh. Oh, that was interesting, and then move on, and then rinse, repeat that. So I think there's two ways to look at it, and depending on what you're creating, it's a matter of like, depending on what you're creating, it all depends on how you're going to approach those situations.
Well, it definitely depends on how you're going to approach it. Also, I think to your point on that, it's not just about how you approach it, but it's about when you're approaching it, what mode are you thinking in? And a great example of this, it's hard to take time to go, I'm enjoying myself in the editing process. I enjoy editing. I know not every editor and every content creator enjoys editing.
Took me a while to like it.
Yeah, it was an acquired taste. There were more screaming at the editor program and the people writing tutorials for writing them incorrectly than there was enjoyment nights at first, for sure. But it's hard when you're editing something and you can see the final product in your head to take a second and go, let me stop working on this, to walk away from it. I'm absolutely loving what it is. This is a great idea. But unfortunately, I need to wait 10 to 12 hours to watch this with fresh eyes to make sure it actually works properly.
Yeah, I've been there. Like, is this actually funny, or am I just losing my mind?
Yeah, and especially when you edit and watch a lot of your own content, you just naturally think that this is what content is. And so it's hard to break out of your own mold from time to time to go, you don't want to be copying other people. And I think inspiration's a bit too cheesy of a word to say, but you definitely want to be reaching out into the ether to go, what is acceptable content? And that can be a tricky road, especially if you do any kind of research at about like 2 or 3 a.m. for people pushing content out then.
The trick, yeah, I get what you're saying, because you don't want to be like everybody else, but at the same time, there's also a baseline of what they're doing that works. So it's like copying that baseline and having a pyramid on top of it that is like slowly different, creating something different that people recognize you by. And I think that's the hardest part. It's like, oh, I don't want to be that dude who like talks over the video and then like the video plays, and like you see things that you don't like in content, but you realize that it works. And then it's like, okay, to grow faster, you kind of have to like do those things, and it kind of like destroys. If you're a creative person, it might destroy that creativity like in you, because you don't want to like get sucked in by the norms of what the market is kind of dictating of what works and what doesn't work. And I mean, at the end of the day, if the market speaks, the market, you're gonna have to act on what the market says. And it's kind of like a balance of being like, what is working and how can I create something unique on top of it that also like create something that propels me forward, and then the creativity on top of that is what makes a person be like, actually like this.
One of the content creators that inspires me the most on this to just kind of say screw the system and do your own thing. And it's funny because Tarkov is what blew him up to I think, legendary status, but General Sam is somebody who does not let other people's content define him, ever.
I like General Sam, but
Yeah.
he does have a specific model, and he takes this just chatting kind of Twitch vibe and bring it into the Tarkov world, and I've seen it with other people, and it works so well because it is so different within this space. You know what I mean? I think pay money wubby. He has a pay money wubby style of content,
Yes.
but in exactly. So it's that here, and it's different from what everyone else is doing in this community, and it works so fucking well, dude. I love the production, the green screen, the big mic just talking at you. It's fucking fun, man.
The green screen is one that is super hard to. It's funny because there's a lot of things that I want to do. I just started getting into doing like skits real world too. And it's so hard every time I sit down and work on one. I try to write one or I have an idea. I try not to ever think like this, but there's always the moment of like, am I going to be compared to somebody else, or am I? There's nothing new. We're small time content creators on the internet. There's very low chance we're going to be creating something unique and special. As in,
Oh yeah.
nobody has ever thought about this before. It's possible, but it's doubtful. And most likely the bigger content creators are able to do, even if we do make something successful, somebody else, and rightfully so, should take it, and that can make it better, should make it better. Like that's the whole point, I think, of an open and shared internet in the way we are leaning towards. I liken this to, I don't know if are you a big music fan, like aficionado? I want to say aficionado, that's a bad word.
Yeah, no, I mean, speaking of that, you bring up the music ideas. There's kind of an idea that everything that has already been created, everything that has already been created creatively has already been created, right? So everything's going to be a remix of something that has already been created. And you look at people who are super successful. You look at people like, Kanye West. Everything he does is taking something else that has been created and just playing it backwards.
Hey, he's just sampling it. That's all he does. Mm-hmm. He samples, and he takes 18 samples, put them together, and then maybe he kind of has a unique thing going, like as a through line, connecting everything. But realistically, he hasn't created. But I mean, are we creating anything? We didn't create. I didn't build the internet. I didn't build like video editing tools. I didn't build the concept of making movies, right? So like we're just using tools that were built before us. So, and I look at memeing in that way. Just because you're taking culture and content that was created, as long as you're transforming it and doing something different.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. Like I just think that's the way it's going. If you even look at like reaction content, it's just your thoughts on top of something else that has already been created by somebody else. You know what I mean? So it's you see that in music. Music is like the hallmark standpoint of where that really is like hit, and then now you're seeing it in like a different medium, but it's just going to keep spreading.
Well, the reason I bring up music is because this was something that used to be really cool back in older music, mainly country, but I mean rock used to do it a little bit too. But country used to do this, especially where artists would share their songs with each other because they weren't writing the songs anyways half the time, they were just singing them. And so you would have 5 or 6 different popular artists at the time make the same song. And, you know, YouTube and TikTok and all this stuff, that's effectively what it's done, is it's people taking the same content and going, this is my spin on this same concept.
Yeah.
I will say it can get a bit, and this is where I get to with just making the short form content, because I've been, for people listening, I've been mainly dumping my time into learning editing short forms, so less than 60 seconds, the vertical cuts. And it's very different than editing a long video. Because
what's different?
Making a vertical short. So specifically what's different when we're talking about creating the content is holding attention. That first, when you're talking about a video on YouTube that somebody watches, whether it's picking up on autoplay or they intentionally choose to watch it, you're thinking more about the thumbnail, you're thinking more about the title, and you're thinking more about that first 30-second hook. When you're talking about a vertical short, the hook is kind of relevant, the first 5 seconds, but what's more relevant is the end. And I know this is super weird, but it took me a long time to learn how to do this. if you want to make a viral video, one of the easy ways to do it is you make a video that's 15 seconds. You cut the end 3 seconds off, put it at the beginning of the video.
Yep.
And then
I've seen a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
And it works so well because you're like, oh, the video ended already, and you're already watching the beginning of the video, which triggers the algorithm to push it over 100% view watch time, which triggers it to play to more people. And it's a nice little tactic people have done.
Oh yeah, and the easy, but then you can do that, and it's an easy trick, but then to do it well. And this is where a good content creator, and this is where I've been exploring, is trying to do that well so that it's engaging and enjoyable, and it's not just another, hey, trick of editing. Like, I don't want it to just be a sleight of hand. I want it to actually enhance the content.
Yeah, the content actually has to be good for that to work. I get what you're saying. There's a guy that I recently found out about. His name's Gotham Chess. He plays chess, obviously.
Well, and, sure, surprise. I'm so surprised.
And he's an international master, which is absolutely fantastic. He mostly just commentates on, tournaments and stuff like that, but he does that same tactic, and he's blown up his YouTube channel with I think a year and a half to like 2 million subscribers or something crazy like that. Providing content like that. It's a combination of the short content that does the introduction really well, has the middle segment lead you and force you to continue watching, because it is actually entertaining. He makes it entertaining either with subtitles, his personality, and just the way he speaks, and then has the ending loop itself to have you right back in the beginning, especially with the shorts. His long form content is just him, it's traditional long form content, and he just speaks and explains chess very well. So that kind of just fills up the gap for that, at least. But I have noticed that, and you talk about the beginning, the introduction, the hook. I think the middle part is where I've been struggling, at least, and I feel like it's noticeable. And because anything over like 20 seconds, or if I try to push something like 45 seconds, I see the watch time just drop immensely. So I've noticed like my introductions are fire. I can have a 150% watch time on the stuff that's like 12 seconds. Anything after that, I'm noticing that like subtitles are a huge play because it keeps your eyes entertained.
Yeah, that's
especially it keeps that viewer like, okay, why am I watching? Like when you're on a short, you want it to be visually like stimulated. It's not an audio experience. So switching that kind of mentality from like, okay, this is a long form audio experience, video on top of like the short format content. I think it can basically just dragging people's attention forcefully with like subtitles and cuts and interesting stuff will help.
I think subtitles are a big one. Anything that can keep your eyes moving and tracking is the big thing. And that's a hard thing to try to do when you already have game content going on, because you already have, especially a game like Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a great example that makes for an easy content push. And I loved what they did with it, which is if you vertical cut Call of Duty, like the end screen, your kill screen, whatever, you have all the information you need in the vertical cut. They literally made the video game with the idea of people are going to be cutting to TikTok and YouTube for vertical, which I thought was cool as shit. Because it'll, like, I don't know if it'll say like killed by your name, and it has like actually the scores and everything you need is right on one screen.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
And I do.
Perfect.
Right. There's part of me that wishes more companies would do it. But to kind of cycle back into your point here, making long form short content, which is just a very hard sentence to say, making long form short content where you're aiming past the 30-second mark. Because if you want to make a good video of vertical shorts, of YouTube shorts, 30 seconds or 15 to 30 seconds is the sweet spot. And if you can make an under 10-second video, you probably will blow up. You're going to get a lot of people that press do not recommend your channel in the future, though. So, because you just made a really dog shit meme, probably.
Yeah.
And which is funny. It's like did you watch I'm assuming you saw some of like the happy viral stuff that went around for a little bit?
No, what's that?
Oh, it's a stupid dance that people do, and it's a song in the background that goes happy, 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 and it's very annoying. It's one of those children's songs that has like one really annoying catch line in it, but they loop the audio, and so it's about 3 seconds every video with this audio. It's only maybe 3 seconds long. So you're getting massive views and you're getting massive push and retention out because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff to read on the channel. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I still haven't done a video like that yet because I feel it's so disingenuous. Yeah, cringy and disingenuous. I've made a couple cringe videos with the intention of making a cringe video, and I feel bad every time I press publish.
Yeah. No, I mean, you also have to have some integrity of the stuff you create. I mean, some people don't, and some people just fish for views. And I mean, whatever floats your boat. I've never been that person. I've always wanted to create stuff that when I watch, I'm like, this is cool.
I
But
did that for
there's
a
also a
bit.
reason why I don't have enough subscribers. I mean, a lot of people don't care about your integrity. They just want to see stuff that hits that dopamine button for them. You know what I mean? So,
Well, it's not even just that. It's not even just the dopamine button. They want everything from you, which they want the drama too. And this is, I hate drama. Absolutely hate it. I hate going after it. I hate finding it. Tarkov is rife with it, right? People want to talk about, wipe. They want to talk about BSG. They want to talk about cheaters. They want to talk about the BSG dev that banned a player because toxicity or like just, you have all these weird random little things that people want to focus on what's going wrong in the game as opposed to focusing on, like, I try to make most of my content be positive focused about Tarkov, even when I'm talking about the game.
right.
And when I plan to make content for future games, there's so much already negativity in the atmosphere with most games. I don't ever feel the need to add to it. But it also, it's hard because you want to be able to connect with people. You want to let people know that, yeah, I do understand this game has problems, but I also want to talk about how great it is. Do you guys not know how dog crap most other video games are compared to this game we're talking about? And how great it is? And it's, getting back on topic, it's hard to make content with integrity in mind because where this leads to me is branding, which is, are you when you're making content? Are you a character? Are you your brand? And if you're somebody that's a new channel, right, you probably don't have all of that figured out yet. Like, I don't have my brand figured out yet. I'm still in the process of 100% understanding that. And I don't think any content creator that is smaller they might have a grasp on it internally, but not externally. Like, I understand inside of myself, intrinsically, I'm confident with who I am as a person.
Right.
But I'm not confident in how I describe and showcase that to other people.
As Gary Vaynerchuk says, you are your own personal brand. And realistically, that's what a lot of people should do. But I think you just kind of brought up why people don't, right? You're a little like maybe not so confident in expressing who you are, but you know who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and there's the difference with not being comfortable expressing and not. To me, it's more even just not knowing what and how to do it, and that's very different than knowing. I have the ability to. I have no fear in stopping me from doing it. I just have a disconnect.
It's like having the confidence to go up to a pretty girl. You just don't know what to say when you finally say hello. It's like, hey, like you have no confidence. It's like tapping on her shoulder and being like, hey, I thought you're really pretty. And then once the conversation starts, you just black out. It just goes blank. You're like, start drooling on yourself a little bit. It's like, all right, so the initial opening was fantastic. Closing needs some work, buddy.
Needs a lot of work. One of the things I also wanted to talk about with you today, Fear, is the fear of missing out. Funny enough. The fear of which is also referred to as FOMO. When a new game comes out, so for example, like Call of Duty DMZ just came out, you look at your friends list, you go on Steam, you go on Discord, you look at your friends list and you notice everybody's playing Call of Duty. I have to download Call of Duty. I have to go out and buy Call of Duty. I have to own this game in order to play it with my friends because I have a fear of missing out of the moments that we're going to share it together there. And if it's a healthy fear coming from a place of I want to have fun with my friends and you have the income to buy the game, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But if you're buying the game because you need to be there for the moment, like your favorite content creators playing the game, and I know this is probably not a very ad-friendly thing to say, but I don't think you should just be buying games just because a lot of people are playing them, and it's the moment everybody's playing this game right now, and if I'm not there for this event, for this online awakening of the game being blown up, I'm gonna miss out on something epic and awesome. But then we look at games all the time that they suck on launch, and you wait 2 to 3 years, and now it's a great game. And if you had waited those 2 to 3 years and started playing No Man's Sky, is a great example of a video game that nobody wanted to play when it came out. But then 2 or 3 years go by, and if you had never played the game and you just start playing the game, now all of a sudden it's this enjoyable masterpiece that's been perfected. Tarkov is in the same boat, I think.
Right. Well, don't tell Veritas that. He loves the earlier time of Tarkov, but no, I get what you're saying. And okay, so we're speaking about the average player. We're not even talking about content creation of the FOMO, right? Like the average. Like I agree that you should get into the game right when it drops to create those early fun memories with friends. If you got the money, the financial, ability to lose $100 on a video game, sure. I think that's a fine reason, because I think a lot of us, especially older gamers, we're living off of like nostalgia, right? It's like, going home, logging on, skipping your homework, not doing your chores, and just playing with your friends and having your mom yell at you in the background. Those experiences, like, you don't get that anymore, you know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of people, they fear they're going to miss out on like that nostalgic feeling of playing with their friends again. And I think there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it's coming from a healthy place, I always find it to be.
I agree with you on that.
Nothing wrong with it, but there's a lot of people that tend to take it to a toxic level. Warhammer Darktide came out. Great example. Recently came out, and the game restricts the amount of people you can play with to 4. And this is one of the issues I have in the tactical genre. Is the games are so small that if you have 5, 6, 7 people you like playing with, you can't play with them. You now have to break it up into several small gaming groups. There's this idea in gaming that all gaming friends are 3 to 5 people. Like mainly 3 or 4 seems to be the default. And I don't know that I buy it. And it makes me so happy that there's finally a tactical shooter coming out that is fighting this, which is going to be a 12-person co-op game. It's co-op. I hope they add PvP, because I think it'd be cool. So I don't know if you're familiar with Starship Troopers. I would gather you are. There is a mod for the game called Squad that allows you to play as the Starship Troopers and go fight all the bugs and fun stuff like that.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so it got enough popularity that they basically made a standalone game. And it's going to be cool as shit, and it's 12 people fighting bugs on alien planets, and it's going to be challenging. And that's why can't I have that in more games? Why can't I group up with more than a few people in some of these games? I'm glad Tarkov finally added it for the offline experience. I wish they would make it so that non-EOD people could participate, but I get it.
Yeah. I mean, don't you think the market has a lot to dictate on how things are created like that, though?
What do you mean?
Like, why aren't there more games like that? It's like maybe we are the minority, right? Like, you're the minority in that aspect. Like, you would love to play stuff like that, but there aren't just enough people to create a game good enough. There aren't enough people to buy a game for the company to create the game to make enough money to create the game. Does that make sense?
I don't actually disagree with this. This is why I think there is a need for it, but no developer has found the right
way to implement it.
Yeah, the right way to implement it. I think there's 2 games that have 3 games, I guess you could say, but 2 developers that have figured out this success: Rockstar Games and Bohemia Interactive Studios. So Rockstar Games with Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption.
Easy.
Yeah, and then Bohemia Interactive with Daisy and Arma. You have the ability to massively cooperate with people if you so choose, because the game is sandboxy. So I think there already is this out there. You have it with Conan Exiles. You have it with Ark Survival
True.
Evolved. You have,
Yeah.
you have these large co-op games out there. They just also happen to include PvP in them.
Yeah.
So I think that genre already exists. I just would like it to be a bit more defined. So for example, why is there no, there's no World War II game where you play as an entire squad, an infantry squad, and you could round that out. Why not? We have Insurgency. Sandstorm kind of gave it to us with modern side a little bit, but it's very arcadey. It's Call of Duty the same way. There's no kind of likening this back to earlier in our conversation. There's no context to the fights.
Isn't Hell Let Loose similar to something of what you're talking about?
Hell Let Loose is 50v50 tactical shooting, which is fantastic.
What are you speaking of?
So what I'm speaking of specifically, I'm blanking on my own thought here for a second. Give me a sec. So what I'm talking about with co-op games, I guess let me clarify, re-clarify this entire conversation.
PvE experience.
There's the PvE experience, and I would love to have a large scale cooperative PvP experience, but I just don't see it ever happening. Outside of the only game I ever see that happening is an Arma, potentially Grand Theft Auto, but I don't necessarily consider Grand Theft Auto a tactical game. Kind of threw my brain for a loop here for a sec.
No, I mean,
in a good way, by the way.
I think it would be cool, but it would also have to think of my mind's just like wrapped around the business sense of it. It's like how many people are gonna play it enough to generate enough money to maintain it, to make new content for it. What kind of like service are you going to provide to generate more money? Because I feel like a lot of these games, the thing that holds these games together is the community itself. It's just modders,
which doesn't tend to a revenue model, because if you don't have the people that want to mod,
exactly.
You have a few big ones in the modding community. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens when the Roblox generation grows up. Talked about this before, and this is actually, I think, an interesting way to segue off this. So when we're talking about co-op games and building games in the future, and we're talking about like a maturing player base, one of the reasons we have the tactical shooters right now, the reason we have Tarkov, the reason we have Squad, the reason we have Hell Let Loose, is because all the old school games in the 90s and early 2000s allowed modders to practice their game development skills for free and try out audiences. Those people all grew up because they all started doing that when they were in college, and now they're all in their 30s to 40s, and they have the income to finance, and they have the connections to finance game development. And we finally have games being built. I don't want to say finally have games being built by gamers, but we are in the generation of independent games being developed by people who grew up gaming as their hobby. They didn't fall into gaming in their adult life. They didn't get paid as some kind of software or hardware developer and then eventually just go like, well, gaming's lucrative. I'll make something in this space. This is their hobby, and now they're creating in that hobby. But now we have another generation coming after that, which is the Roblox kids. The kids whose entire point of gaming is to customize their game. And that's going to be a very interesting future for us. And our maturing player base looks at video games. We view competition as the top tier, right? Because in the 90s, that was what was driven. Like, gaming is competitive. Gaming is competition. And those are the games we kind of saw coming out in the 2000s, right? You had CS, Counter-Strike blew up heavy. StarCraft blew up heavy, right? And it was big competition games that we have ladders and leaderboards and all this fun stuff. And it's starting to make a bit of a comeback. And that's your genre of playing games, right? Is this PvP-centric competitive focus.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. I used to, but I come from... It's funny because I came into gaming from a completely separate field. I came into it from, I want to cooperatively play a game with people.
Right.
Oh.
No, I wanted to beat my friends into a pulp.
Oh.
I get it's interesting because, you know, I literally just saw a short from Dr. Disrespect of him, like, in the beginning, him just talking to, you know, the camera with the shitty wig and the old glasses and everything. He just looked, he wasn't as, like, jacked and everything. He was just talking. He's like, you know, follow your dreams. If you want to be a content creator, do it. You know, some of us aren't the best. We're not going to be pro gamers. And then it's just switches to him, and it's like him being the doc in 2022. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, he's not the best, but he's created a living around being entertaining, around acting like he's the best. You know what I mean? So it's like this unique place, and it always makes me wonder. It's like, when am I going to transition to being like, I'm never going to be the best at in any FPS. I don't have the eyesight for it or anything like that, but what content, especially with us, are we going to create that's compelling enough for people to be like, I want to watch this instead of something else? You know what I mean?
There's one of the best pieces of advice I ever got about creating content is that people are always looking for the first opportunity to turn away and to look away and to turn your content off. Dr. Disrespect.
I agree. Yeah.
Dr. Disrespect, I'm glad he's somebody you brought up because he's very popular.
That's a really cool. I like that.
I loved it. Yeah.
I like that. That's so true because I do it too. I'm like, what can I hate about this person? And there are times I'm like, damn, I don't hate nothing about this dude.
It's hard for me. If I end up like fully watching, it's hard for me to ever make a video that's over. Anytime I make a video over 6 minutes, it's hard because I almost never want to watch a video over 6 minutes on YouTube. And if it is a video that's 10 minutes long, I'll watch 6 minutes of it, which like sucks for people that I'm watching. And I get it as a content creator. Like it's hard. But Dr. Disrespect, I kind of want to cycle back to him real quick. The reason he's so interesting to me, I have never watched any of his long form content. So I've only seen him. I've watched a little bit of streaming of him. I've watched him stream a couple times, but I've never actually. He's one of those people that he's just like, he's a character to me because anytime I've ever seen him, it's such.
He is a character.
Yeah. It's such short moments.
Like that's who he is. It's funny. No, I mean, so his long form content is just 10 hours of him making short form content. That's all it is.
That's something I struggle with heavily. And one of the reasons I step back from streaming is I have issues creating under the fishbowl because I don't know what there's different ways to content create. I'm much more of an improv person. So I like to put myself in a situation and hope that the skills and the training and everything I've done leading to this moment allows me to make the moment into something more than itself. And then when I'm editing it, I can take it and make it actually something beautiful. Right. Doesn't always work out, but that's how I work. I get one of the things that always irritated me streaming is I would write down like a list. I'm like, this is my idea for streaming today. I want to get these kind of videos. Right. And when I'm not able to get that kind of content, that's when I start like, I look at streaming as negative because I'm not getting what I'm trying to get out of it.
Right.
And I'm curious, as you're somebody who streams consistently, how do you build content? Like, are you reacting to your content, or are you trying to, like, when you're editing, are you sifting for the moment that just happened, or are you consciously trying to push and make that moment happen?
In terms of my stuff, so let's say I'm just trying to get a good clip. I'm pushing in the moment to get that clip, and then I'll note it down, and I'll just go back and edit that segment. I'm not reacting to it in any way. I'm not in production being like, oh, let me change this to make this way. It's more of like, turn on the stream, make sure I did AM lab so I'm not dog water, and then try to put myself in situations to where the content just kind of happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get
the gaming world. In the gaming world, right? So I'm gonna like push. I'm gonna push on stupid things to happen, and sometimes you just get lazy and you don't even want to do this. You just find yourself gaming, and I think that's the hardest part. It's just, are you gaming or are you creating content? And those two distinctions are so close together. It's most people never truly break out of it. Most people are just playing video games live.
And that was a hard one.
It's hard.
Yeah, that was a hard one for me because that's one of the reasons I streamed a little bit back when I played PlanetSide 2 a lot, and I streamed a little bit when I played Arma 3. And I never liked streaming a lot unless I was doing something and I had an event going on, because then I'm streaming something more for posterity, which is how I try to look at my videos right now. And when I create, I'm creating it because it's something that I want to watch in the future and come back and revisit with my friends. And if the audience happens to want to visit it with me right now, that's cool. There is some content that I make I feel like I have 3 forms of content that I make, and I don't want to go too deep into that, but when you're making content, are you trying to only create one thing, or are you actually, as you're maturing as a content creator, as you're maturing as a gamer, right? Your skills in gaming go down, like your reaction time, stuff like that, but your knowledge and your understanding go up.
Right.
When you're looking at what is an enjoyable clip, what's going to be an enjoyable moment, what am I trying to, generally when I'm video editing, I'm trying to tell a story. That's the base level of anything. If you're creating content, you should try to tell a story. If you don't understand that point and you're listening to this, that's all you need to research. And until you learn how to do that, stop doing anything else. I think.
Yeah, the best creators are the best storytellers.
Yeah. I'm a great storyteller in writing, and I'm a great storyteller like when I do Dungeons and Dragons and I'm DMing, but like I don't want to say horrible story. Video editing is such a completely different beast. And YouTube on top of that, because it screws with your head, in that you can make the most beautiful thing in the world, but because you didn't market it right, or maybe you screwed something up in the first 3 minutes of editing, that caused everybody to leave your video. They didn't get to watch the beauty that was after it. And that's where streaming got really, really weird with me, because I would have these wonderful, beautiful moments, but the rest of the stream was so tainted to me. I did some really weird streams. I would do long form streams. So I would stream for anywhere from 3 to 8 hours. And I did 2 24-hour streams. And they were like five days a week streaming, by the way, 3 to 8 hours a day, and then editing the rest of the day, by the way, that stream. So like, if you imagine streaming and then immediately editing your stream for 8 hours and sifting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's,
I mean, that's how normally my process goes.
Yeah. And to me, I felt myself like getting into this endless cycle of only, like, well, kind of like what you were talking about earlier, where we're talking about like, when is quantity a problem? And I'm like, I'm streaming more, but I'm not streaming anything that I'm like clipping, anything that I'm editing.
Because you're just playing video games.
Yep.
I think so. How do I explain this? There's different ways to approach it. I guess like you can stream to show your viewers that you're there, to talk to them and have a good time and give them the connectivity that they can't get from a long format video or short. Or you can do this both, or just not do it at all. Is stream with the purpose of creating content, and you can do either or. It's sometimes more effective to stream with the purpose of making content, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. Sometimes you're just there with the viewers, and sometimes and that kind of gets me into the idea of like, should you be streaming 15 hours a day, right? It's like, probably not, especially if you're not hyper efficient. I've seen like content creators on Twitch be like, okay, so for the next 2 hours, they just say it straight up. They're like, we're going to be working on a YouTube video, so I won't be like talking to chat that much. I'm just going to be like recording while streaming, and then after that 2-hour mark, we're going to be going ahead and I'll be back talking. I noticed Magic the Gathering streamer Covert Go Blue does that. He'll have like 15-20 minutes where he'll talk to his fans, and then after that, he doesn't talk to them at all. He's recording YouTube videos, and they know that. And he'll look over and stuff like that. And it's an interesting like take on it. It's so segmented and it's so forced and it's so respectable. It's like, damn, okay, that's cool. So you can do that, or you can like stream for 2.5 hours 3 times a week at the same time, let people know that's the time you're available. It's the time you're going to come and hang out with them. and find a time to build that community there and let that be kind of like a hangout spot more than like I'm going to create a content spot. And so it just kind of like works well, what works best for you, I guess, right?
It's a hard confidence pull to do that. That was one of my tough things when streaming was I would have people jump in and I want to connect and engage with them. That's my big I was very good at streaming when it came to connecting one-on-one with people because it's easy for me because I do that. I build groups in gaming. I'm generally the one that reaches out to go, like when people are like, wow, it's so great. We got 20 people together playing this game. I go, yeah, it's so great. It just magically happened, guys. Nobody sent out 100 messages. Trust me, getting people
Right.
here. And it's funny to me that you're going in that direction with it with streaming because that's or the guy you referenced. Sorry, the guy you referenced that he's so confident in doing that because it's one of the things I struggled with the most. Is because I in the moment I see the chat. I want to engage with the person because I want to genuinely engage with them. And so I would get pulled out of whatever I'd be filming and doing and the game I'm playing too. And I was a really good streamer. I was a really bad Tarkov player when I streamed. And this is where all of my content went downhill because my content became about my stream and my interactions with my chat.
Right.
Which was awesome if you were really into that, which my YouTube community, I found out over the course of a few months, like they just weren't, that's not, my content wasn't refined enough or my editing style wasn't enough. And I wasn't as interested in watching that content because I'm not interested in hearing myself talk about, I'm trying to think of a good video. Like I talked about Lion King, I think at one point for like 2 or 3 minutes straight.
Right.
It's interesting to somebody, sure. It's not interesting to me. It's interesting when I'm in the moment when I'm talking to somebody, but editing it back, I have no idea where to cut, to add music, to not, like it's, because I would never watch that kind of content on YouTube, so I don't know how to make it.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so I guess like if I'm breaking down the way that I think about creating something is if I'm streaming, I just press record and I'll record every raid. And if nothing happens, I just don't title it, I don't edit it, I just leave it and I'll delete it the next day. If something interesting happens to where like I get like, oh, 1 or 2 kills here, something funny, I'll think about how can I enhance this without adding anything that I've created, right? Like I'm not gonna add a voiceover, I'm not gonna add me talking about anything. I'm like, what can I do? And I've noticed that I started adding like lo-fi music to stuff. And I feel like that is a kind of like an idea. I don't know what I'm even saying. Someone commented and like, I think this is a unique small niche that people don't do enough, and I really appreciate it. And someone commented, I'm like, that's really cool because I love it. I love editing music on top of something to make it like a chill, viewable experience that's like 15 seconds. And I feel like that's in my mind what I'm going for every time that I press like go live plus record. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find something that's going to happen organically, and I won't stop playing until that happens. And then if it happens early, then I'll just like relax and chill out, and I'll just like veg out.
How do
Which
you,
is probably a terrible idea, but the
well,
second part is a terrible idea, vegging out. But what were we gonna say?
well how do you deal with when that doesn't go your way though? So when you're trying to record and let's say you're an hour and a half into streaming and it's that Tarkov night where you load in and you get shot, like you get head eyes, the customs raid where for whatever reason 5 raids in a row it's head eyes as soon as you spawn and 5 minutes out.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And
Then I try to sit back and think about what is relatable and valuable to what just happened to me. Oh, I just died a million times in a row. Well, so does everybody. So how could I make? And then it has to get even more creative at that point. It's like how can I make something that is funny and entertaining and also relatable to their experience that they just had today? Because I know a lot of people just got shit on as well. So what could I do to make it somewhat? And then it also kind of like it's the quantity thing. As long as it's something, it's going out, and not everything has to go viral. Just one thing has to go viral to change your life. So it's like creating those kind of repetitions is kind of like what I'm in the back of my mind kind of going for. And if I'm dying for 12 hours, then it's 12 hours of me dying, and I'm going to upload something of just super fast snippets of me getting head-eyes in a 30-second video for 12 hours. Like that's the content for the day. And it doesn't make me happy by any means, but it's the content that goes out that day.
It's yeah, I did a concept early on when I was just I think I was like sub 200 viewers on YouTube. Did a concept called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and it's one I want to revisit, but it's just such a I don't want to say it's a pain to edit. It's a because I'm so spread out right now because I'm doing a lot of community building stuff where I'm getting people I used to play video games with. I'm getting them back to talking with each other as we're getting ready to do Arma 4 is coming out. And to play that game effectively, you need a support team of people that know how to run a server, do configs, handle mods,
Right. Yeah.
do just basic stuff. And then on top of it, once you're in the game, you need people who are willing to go, hey, I'm going to spend 2 hours learning how this mod works for us to use this mortar. Because if nobody does that, then we're going to go, all right, let's use the mortar. And you go to shoot it, and nobody knows how to fire the thing when we need to fire it. So it's like in Tarkov. If you go like, all right, guys, let's go play Tarkov, and nobody knows how to extract.
Yeah.
You're going to have a fun time. Everybody's dying. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love y'all, but everybody's dying.
Yeah.
And it,
Pew pew, y'all gonna die.
so it depends on how you want to hit a game. And I'd rather, a lot of us would rather hit it with the approach of, let's have fun. And to credit your point earlier, and this is where I want to get back into streaming, because it's funny you mention it. I have this trouble in Tarkov because it's a PvP game, and I'm not a PvPer at heart. It's funny because I blew up with Tarkov. I do a lot of PvP videos, but that's not... Like, I think it's funny to watch people in sniper scopes and not shoot them. I did that for a while on stream, and it pissed a lot of people off. And I kind of... This was hard as a content creator, like when you're making content and you notice it's negatively impacting your views, so you stop doing it. But if you had the confidence to follow through, it might have actually became something good.
True.
So I'm in that whole like reflection period of myself and my content right now, where I'm reevaluating all of that, which is, I think, beautiful. But I know some people, the audience does not wait for you to figure out your shit. You know what I mean? And trying to think how to tie this back. Well, I know how to tie it back. So I have plans to stream in the future again. And I'm curious why I've never seen you do content like this, because you do occasionally talk about it. Why do you not do a lot of tutorial content?
I did a couple videos like that, but I don't know. I don't want to. Maybe it's just I just don't want to be known as the tutorial guy. I just think that's what it is.
So I'm the same way. This is the the issue on my Discord. I initially marketed my Discord as a, hey, because I was Sherpaing people in Tarkov, and that's what a lot of my content was initially. For that was blowing up, was that, or like PvP tips. So people were coming on to get Sherpa'd or carried.
Right.
Or to like link up with another, and well, mainly that. And so I ended up doing a lot of Timmy Sherping, to the point that that's all I was playing with for a solid like 2 months was Timmy's. And so now I have a fear of ever making tutorial content in Tarkov again, because it attracts that crowd. That's, if you're making tutorial content and you're going, hey, if you're looking for someone to play with, here's our Discord.
I got what you're saying.
Now the people you're attracting are people who don't know how to play the game, but at the same time you're attracting people who want to learn to play the game, and so they will eventually be better.
Right.
But it's tough if every night you go to load in, you know, the people who
somebody's hand.
Yeah, you know, the people who can only play like 2 raids of Factory an hour versus the people who can play like 4 to 5. You think it's a minor difference, but it adds up if you're talking about sitting down and gaming with somebody for a few hours a night.
Absolutely.
And I want to make tutorials in the future. I don't know that I want to make them for Tarkov. Like, I got a lot of people that got upset with me for never making Tarkov tutorial content more, because it's, number one, I feel like there's so much better tutorials out there. So for me to add anything to that, I feel I have to add something.
Right. No, yeah, I agree to that. Like, there's other people who do it really well. There's bigger people who do it really well. What else could you add to it? They're just not regurgitating. I like so the tutorials that I do are very short. It's very weird, short things, and those things have propelled my YouTube channel, and I mean propelled them. Um, so when those things happen and those things come up, I always do them because I personally enjoy short clips of something. Oh, that's cool, and then I move the fuck on. That's what I like.
Mhm.
So I try to replicate those things, like the junk box little tip. All those videos got like over 100, 200,000 views, and I'm like, I like doing that, and that works. And I also like doing that lo-fi stuff, which also works in short formats, which I hope will translate into longer formats. So it's like a balance, I guess, right?
So it's funny, my tutorial videos, the ones that I put some effort into, anyways, got somewhere between like 2 to 20,000, I think the top one got. But my meme videos are the ones that got like in the 500, like the 100K plus, the big one, the 750K, whatever. Like those ones are all just dumb memes.
Right.
Which, so to me, I'm the dumb meme guy to a lot of people, which is why but I enjoy making. I don't want to say dumb.
I mean, not to be rude, I think that's what I noticed your content from. Like, that's the guy who makes fucking memes.
I make
Like,
memes.
Like you make me, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh no,
because to make memes, you have to truly understand what you're doing.
and you have to truly understand the community, because the memes that don't work and that shit the bed real hard, real easy are the ones where it's like, well, you don't understand. I made memes for Foxhole. Is a great example. So I kind of understand Foxhole because I was there. I've played about 50 hours of the game, but I've played 50 hours over the course of 6 years. So, or however long Foxhole's been. I think it's been about 6 years, maybe 5. So I don't really have like a great grasp of the community, but I have enough of it that when I make a meme, there's a little bit of a disconnect and there's some questions and engagement in the comments and with the community, but it's not so far removed, but it takes a lot of understanding and depth. It might take me 10 hours to get to a point where I understand how to make a meme for a game.
Right.
But I also like making a meme when I don't understand the game, because that stuff I think is golden. It's like the Tarkov Timmy who, like, if somebody makes a meme, like the person who makes this is my first raid of Tarkov ever. Like, that video is golden. If I could go back in my time ever I would love to have recorded my first raid in Tarkov. Like, I would love to have been somebody who took content creation seriously before Tarkov, because I would have enjoyed seeing my approach to this game initially and being able to compare it to now. Because like the easiest thing I have to compare it to, I had a really, really bad takedown on Reshala, which was, I didn't even realize, I thought one of Rashala's guards was the boss, and that Reshala was a PMC. Like, and then I was so excited, by the way, to have a Kyver helmet. Like, I mean, I was just ecstatic, overly ecstatic, but like, just, oh my god, mind blown. But that's because I allow myself to be, like, you're always immersing yourself in the, like, I need to kill everybody. I don't want to say kill everybody, but I want to be the top dog in this match. I want everybody to know that FearJBaller is who you should be afraid of. Yeah.
I can't help it. I have to. Like, I can't, dude. Like, that's the competitive. Like, I need it. I need it, and it's fun to me. It's not just like an ego thing. It's just fun to me, and it's rewarding. I think that's what it is.
Well, I love
something fun comes out of it. It's even better. But most of the time, it's just rewarding to me.
Yeah, the point I'm going at here with it is I love the yin yang of this, because that's actually majority of the people I play with. My main duo that I play, we played a lot of games together. Mainly League of Legends and Tarkov have been our two big, like, we just go ham PvP in. And we played like a lot of rank league together. And he does the same thing you are. He wants to be the best, and he wants everybody to know he's the best. I want to troll to detract everybody from what he's doing. And we worked out beautifully in Tarkov, because I was the Timmy that made all the noise, because I never stopped moving, and I wanted to learn everything. I want to learn where every angle is, and the only way to do that, what doors can I kick open? I'm not going to look up a guide. I'm going to kick every door. Yup. And so he absolutely loved it, because he's the stocky DMR that would just, I'm going to sit 10 feet away and I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to hear the footsteps and you're not going to hear anything. And it was fun times. I learned a lot from him, especially once we started using Discord and I could watch his stream.
Huh?
This is actually a fun segue. So when we're talking about, I'm curious because you're talking about the PvP aspect. Or you like the PvP. Do you feel Tarkov would lose something if your teammates could automatically spectate you when they died, and if the whole group died, you could then spectate all of the enemy team? Kind of like, because you were playing this yesterday, I saw it, by the way, I was playing it too, Dark and Darker.
I don't think it would.
You don't think it would? So you would? That's what. It wouldn't detract. It's good. Why?
I understand probably why he doesn't.
Oh.
Immersion, realism factor, maybe. Like when the lights go out, you don't know where that switch came from, and I think that's what he's going for. Which is fine, and I don't think it'll detract anything, but I understand why it's not happening. Maybe it'll happen in the future. Maybe we'll get that replay system that we can play after the raid's all done. That you can kind of go in and see what's up. But
do you think that I think this is part of a secret marketing strategy? By the way, I think the reason he doesn't want to do a replay system is because it forces more people to like stream. Because then I always found one of the great things about people. I used to love people that put TV in their name, because I would be able to go to their stream and watch how I died.
Okay, makes sense. No,
Well,
it could be a marketing strategy when you talk about it like that.
Yeah, and so that's why I started uploading clips mainly, because I was never big into Discord. Tarkov is what finally pushed me to actually even install Discord on my computer and start. Like, hey, maybe I should look into this program. It probably has some benefits to this game. I've always been a big TeamSpeak fan, and
TeamSpeak, yeah. I mean, I got it to PC like 2 years ago, so all this stuff was super new to me.
So TeamSpeak is, I don't even know a great way to describe it. It looks so archaic, and it looks like 1990s. If you were to look at it, you would go, this looks analog.
Yeah, I heard it's like the first Discord. That's what people were saying it was like.
Yeah, so yeah. I mean, have you ever heard of Ventrilo? Assuming just bait me. Oh, real? Okay. Ventrilo was the best comms in the world. So Ventrilo, nobody owned a Ventrilo server that I ever knew of. What people did is they would just raid other people's Ventrilo servers until they got kicked off, because it costs money to run one. So you know how easy it is to make a Discord server, and how there's so many floating around out there that like the person's at work or they're doing shit with their family, so nobody's monitoring it. There's no active admins on it. You could just go on and use it and nobody would notice. That's Ventrilo. Imagine just randomly going onto a bunch of people's Discords and using them because you didn't want to create your own and pay the $2 a month that it would cost to run a server.
Get it?
Like, I get it, but at the same time, I mean, I also played with a bunch of broke, high school kids back then, so that's a little. Like, we didn't have money to spend on. All the money we had was going on Mountain Dew and video games.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah, the good old days, dude.
Oh, the good old days. Did you ever drink Game Fuel? Out of curiosity.
I think I've had it once.
Oh, I drank it religiously to the point, and it is.
I was a Monster guy, dude.
Oh, I drank Monster too. Monster was.
I was a Monster guy.
However, Monster has never done what Mountain Dew Game Fuel has managed to do with me, which Mountain Dew Game Fuel managed to turn my pee uranium green.
Oh my gosh, that sounds healthy. Should have more of those.
It was great. Yeah. No.
Sounds healthy.
Monsters, I used to drink 4 Monsters a night.
Oh my god, no. I try to be aware of like how much I'm taking in, but yeah, I love energy drinks.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I'm sipping on a Bang right now. I drink.
Yeah. My buddy's always like, I always make jokes like, yeah, you can go out for a beer. I go out for a Red Bull, dude. I just like the stimulant of an energy drink. It just gets me going.
Oh, back when I did drink alcohol, Did you ever drink Four Loko before they uncaffeinated them?
Yeah.
Or before they, yeah.
That's the most disgusting thing I've ever had, but they fucking cracked you out, brother.
They cracked you out. We used to buy them by the case, by 24 tall boys at a time,
God.
and shotgun them.
I could never finish those nasty drinks, bro. They were so gross, dude. Holy shit.
Oh,
They were really big out here, like really big during like early, like late, like senior year in high school and like early college.
mhm.
And people were just downing those bad boys. You said think about two of them and you're fucking trashed.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
And you, well,
Especially if you're young and you're not drinking like that.
and you don't know it
Fuck
too,
that.
because the caffeine keeps
Yeah,
you
and you don't
wired
know
and
it.
running
That's
until
what it
all of
is.
a sudden you're like, wow, I'm really impaired.
Slush, you know, I'm fine.
What are you talking about? I can fight the entire wrestling team at the same time. Let's go. I got
Dude, yeah.
this. No, it's very alcohol in game. Out of curiosity, then, I guess to bring this back into the tactical gaming genre, because a lot of people drink and play video games.
They do.
And yeah, and I was one of those people. I used to be. I don't drink anymore. I used to be somebody that used to drink a lot and play video games. And on one hand, it's a fun time. On the other hand, I'm well aware of how obnoxious it can be, especially for basic coordination of like getting in and playing the video game. I think this is something that a lot of people take for granted. If everybody would just be serious for about 30 seconds of like, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? But just take 30 seconds, right? And deal with the dumb adult shit of how to play the game. Then we can shut off our brains and have child time. And it's great. I don't know if that's a great way to describe it as child time, but I don't. Anyways, just having a fun time. Just going, I like immersing myself. So when you're PvPing, actually, this is a great question, because I immerse myself in games. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten more into like wanting to immerse myself in the story of a game, into the mood of a game, into the vibe of a game, as well as the vibe of the group I'm with. When you're PvPing, like, is the story or like the like context of the immersion, like how much is factoring into you for the fun? Because for me, that's like 90% of the fun, and killing the person is like 5% of the fun for me.
It depends what game I'm playing for sure. Call of Duty, it's 100% non-immersive for me. It's I just want to be better than the person I'm shooting at. Tarkov, it's I like playing slow for the PvP in Tarkov. I mean, I'm it's weird. The more I play it, the more I just want it to be Call of Duty because I just want to run around and shoot stuff. Which is hopefully Arena gives me that itch. But when I'm just in a normal raid and stuff, especially on woods, I play slow. I got my voodoo scope on. I'm sitting around. I'm looking for headshots, and I don't know. I think it's 50-50 really. The movement and everything that leads up to the kill is extremely satisfying. But if I didn't get the kill and just did all that, it would be kind of not as satisfying, right? So I think it's 50-50 for me.
Okay. In your brain, are you shut off and thinking like a sniper, or are you? Yeah. All right. I guess I'll paint the picture. I load in. It's early, foggy morning. I look around. There's trees. It's dark. It's misty. I look down. I have a sniper rifle. I'm immediately engrossed in the thrill of it's early morning. I gotta get in position before the light actually breaks up, and I'm trying to think about like what the fog feels like on me, and I'm immersing myself into the environment and who I am as a character and why I am in there in the game. And getting the kill's cool, and I'm thinking about like how to be a sniper, but the whole point leading up to it, and even being a sniper, I'm thinking about why do I even want to take this shot? Why do I want to take this man's life? So I'm still thinking about like drop and all that stuff and doing all the like, I want to think about win calculations. I want to think about PvP, but my motivation's coming from someplace else. Whereas yours is coming from like, I want to be the best. They're still like you're role playing a sniper, right? So they come in at the same intersection. That's what I'm getting at. Like, are you considering any of the, like, how much does the
No.
environment affect your enjoyment? I guess that's.
Oh man, the environment is huge. I mean, it's just like we brought up earlier today. Like I could sit around just walking on the gravel and the glass and the wood. That is so enjoyable to me. Um, but I don't go into as far as like that. For me, it's like I spawn in. Can I get to point A before the enemy gets to point B, so I can have a clear line of shot on point B? Um, and it's also like I also have these conversations with like other people. It's like they're like, "Oh, I just want to enjoy the game," and I'm like, "Man, I do too, but I also need to grab fucking clips." And so like I'm like in this weird spot of being like, I want to play immersed, but I also don't want to play for 17 hours today trying to get one clip. So I can't do that as much as I want, right? But let's say we're not playing Tarkov, and I'm not looking to get a clip, and everything's done for the week. I got everything ready, and I want to play like a story game, like Days Gone, zombie survival, open world. You know, when it's that environment and it's outside of like a content creation standpoint, I am all about that. I'm like, instead of like you have an option of like run, walk, or jog. I'm slow walking, brother. I'm like looking slow around my shoulders, setting up the scene, like really feeling what it would feel like to be in a zombie apocalypse. Creep walking slow, trying to set up the most cinematic scenes available. I love that, and I wish I can do that more. But the way that just trying to make a living out of content, I don't get to do it enough.
The way you describe that, I want to take us a bet in the final bit before we go to leading out of this podcast, out of this initial episode. When you were younger, before you were like playing video games, so I guess you got started in consoles because you just said you got into PCs just a couple years ago. So, yeah. All right, so I know we're basically the same age. So for consoles, then I'm guessing you got your stint probably N64 was where you got your hooks. PlayStation 1, where were you getting?
Sega. Sonic.
Genesis?
Yeah.
Oh, I love me some Genesis. And
yeah, I never had the Nintendos. So I never got into Mario, but I got Sega's first.
Did you ever play I'm trying to well, like on the name of the game, it was called Chaos, I think it was, or
Sega?
Yeah, it was on Sega Genesis. There was a game you played. It was effectively like a top-down 4v4 tactical shooter, but it was 1v1, but you controlled 4 people at the same time.
No, I never heard of that.
And it was this great little game because you had different types of characters. So one was a flamethrower, one was a grenade launcher, one was a bazooka, one was a rifleman, one was a machine gunner, all this stuff. But you could choose which ones you wanted and where. Like, so you could just go in with all flamethrowers or all bazookas. And it was the first time I played a game that had a lot of customization. And it was the first time I realized that I was way too good at RTSs. I grew up playing, I had a brother, an older brother, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, that also enjoyed games. My older sister enjoyed video games. I also had 2 cousins that really enjoyed video games that we played a lot with, and I had a best friend growing up that really enjoyed gaming. So we had a lot of like a lot of interaction with families and stuff, and like there was constant who's going to be the best at what game. I was easily the best at RTSs, but a game that I continue to get my ass kicked by my older brother in. Did you ever play ice hockey? The old school Nintendo one. I know this is not Genesis.
Like the old school NHL, like 94 or whatever.
Yeah, the like where you have 4 people and it's really pixelated.
Where it was just like foosball, but on an NES.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother and my cousin are crack at that game because for some odd reason, like
I love sports games.
They played it forever, for so long, and we played it again recently as adults on the Switch. And I'm good at video games. I'm pretty damn good at most video games. When I want to try, they smoked me.
So, old school fucking sports games were nutty, man.
They were. My favorite one was the one that got banned. Blitz. I think it was just called Blitz or Blitzen or something. You basically it was illegal football, so the whole point of it was playing football.
Blitz.
I think it was just Blitz. So you're trying to like give your players steroids and stuff, and like trying to break the other team's bones. I thought it was kind of cool. Like let's go R-rated, like Quarantine Taxi. Which I don't think you actually know Quarantine because that's a DOS game. Super awesome game. It's a taxi game. You play as a taxi driver, but I understand it was kind of a meme at the time, but it was like if you're in like the future of Chicago and it's all slums and prostitutes and gun violence on every corner. And what if you like could armor your taxi and fight back, but still drive people around and deliver them to their destination?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, well, that's kind of okay. And then I talk to people that live in Chicago about this game, and they go, that kind of sounds like modern Chicago. You realize the taxis out here are like, people put phone books in and armor the like sides and stuff so they don't get shot. And I'm like, oh my god, all right. Well, I guess the game predicted the future. I don't know. I feel bad, but it's a fun game. I enjoy old school games. They're very different.
Honestly, I don't. I know a lot of people do. I hate platformers. Never liked them. I don't hate them. I just never enjoyed them. Like Mario, never enjoyed it. Sonic was a lot. I guess I liked it because it was more fast paced. Crash Bandicoot was a lot of fun because it kind of just revolutionized kind of what was happening at that point. I think the game developers called it Sonic's ass because all they did was kind of just turn the screen a different direction, and it was basically just a platform that went forward and back instead of left to right. But the game that really like made me fall in love with gaming was Zelda. What the fuck? Ocarina of Time.
Really?
Yeah, that one was like, okay, I love this, and that was and then it was just game over from there. And then got hooked into the Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 10, and then what the fuck was the Metal Gear Solid? That was hooked.
I probably I have a smattering because it's like weird because I have like family game time and then online game time. I would have to say it's probably Tekken or Bushido Blade on the consoles, and then on the computer, Tekken, yeah, StarCraft,
fighting games, Soul Calibur.
So
fighting games. I liked StarCraft. That was actually really cool games. Again, I wasn't into PC, so I didn't get to play them as much. I liked those games a lot, actually.
My fiance really loves fighting games, and I feel bad every time we play them because I'm better at fighting games than her. So I
suck.
I let her beat me a few times. Every time she gets so proud, and it's so cute because I'm like, I don't want her to. But the reason is I pick like subpar characters, and I try the really complicated moves that don't work when the person you're fighting just leg kick spams.
Yeah.
Like that's her enjoyment of fighting games, which is it's cute and it's fun, but in StarCraft though, what was fun about that one when I got invested into it, I did play competitive StarCraft and I played leaderboards, but the big thing I did in StarCraft was make customized missions. Specifically, and this is very difficult to maybe understand without a visual image, but I ran Dungeons and Dragons in StarCraft. What I did is I worked with a few people and we built a scripted map where depending on where you moved a unit, right, it would spawn you a variety of units in different areas with different stats. And you could also give them different abilities. And so what you could do is create these unique missions and then do everything through text as well as change up the music in the background for people and change up enemy types, give them gear, give them stuff. It was revolutionary to me to see this concept of being able to change games and change the way you to take a game and the developer built it and go and use it for something completely else. Tarkov is a great example. Tarkov was a testing bed for Russia 2028, not a competitive simulator.
True. Yeah. I remember hearing that.
Yeah, and Now I love the game because I come from the world of survival and the world of simulation, and so for me, I am I've been called a wise rat. Is the way
Wise rat.
that is how some of my core audience has decided to describe me, and I've taken it on as a mantle because I don't push fights unless I can push fights. I do push fights, but I tend to. I'm there to live. I'm not there to win,
Right.
which is fun.
I'm the same way though. I always like to have the advantage the most way possible, right?
The difference is a great example. Customs, right? On every customs raid, I guarantee you're going to dorms and stronghold, right? Or one of the two or both.
Yeah, always stronghold, never dorms. Hate it. I will
Oh.
not go to dorms till they fix the audio occlusion.
So hey, I'm the same way with Shoreline.
They can suck me before I go back there, bro.
I'm the same way with Shoreline. I got a lot of hate when I was streaming at the start of this wave because people were like, "Why don't you go to Resort ever?" And I'm like, "I do." Just
I can't hear anything.
Well, I would go off stream because I don't know if you got this issue. I cannot get people to watch me or watch my content if it's night without nods or a flashlight on.
Oh yeah, dude, you can't see anything. That's why.
Right, but that's the whole point. Because I would explain to them, like, they're like, I can't see anything. I'm like, yeah, I can't either, guys. That's it's an audio adventure right now.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that just don't understand the concept of that, and it's like it makes me sad because we'll never get another. And this is maybe an editor fun tip, but we'll never get another Stanley Kubrick because of it.
I don't know.
Okay.
I hate night raids.
I love night. I'm actually when wipe happens, I'm gonna exclusively try to play nighttime for the first 10 raids, maybe
yeah, honestly,
100.
I do so many night raids getting all my tasks done.
Oh, yeah.
So underrated. So underrated.
So underrated. And
dude, most people don't even want to fight. They're just like, all right, yeah, I'll go this way, you go this way. I'm just trying to get this fucking stupid.
They don't have nods. They don't have a flashlight half the time either.
Anything. Yeah, they're running with the Mosin in the dark. Like, I'm leaving.
Yeah, right. They probably don't have a front sight. Oh, by the way, if you don't have a front sight on your Mosin ever, if you drop it, or if you get it back on insurance, I'm one of those people. Because I don't just take your front sight off. I will take your front sight off and take it out of raid with me.
Oh, so you're toxic.
No, I'm helping teach people.
I'm a teacher.
I'm a teacher.
Well, guys, let's wrap this up then, man. I just want to say thank you for hanging out with me today, Rec, man. It was a great fucking podcast. Thank you for the viewers if you're listening to this on YouTube or anywhere else. Thank you for joining us for this episode, man. Hope you really enjoyed it. If you learned something new, let us know in the comments. If you didn't, let us know in the comments. Until next time, please remember to stay curious, keep exploring, and if you want to support the channel, hit that like button for us. If you really, really want to support the channel and help support this content, consider becoming a subscriber. Much love, guys. Peace.
Peace.